What's up, y'all? Y'all know who it is. Y'all know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hype me up, all that good stuff. Let's get into the show.
Today, on this very floor, urging the members of this body to pass the Save America Act. Our Democrat colleagues are fond of bellowing into the TV cameras that photo ID to vote is Jim Crow. Now, I will admit, our Democrat colleagues should be experts in Jim Crow because it was Democrat politicians who passed the Jim Crow laws. It was Democrat politicians who founded the Ku Klux Klan. You need a photo ID to purchase alcohol. You need a photo ID to go into a bar. You need a photo ID to get on a plane. You need a photo ID just to drive a car, not even rent a car, drive a car. You need a photo ID, actually two photo IDs, to shovel snow in New York City. Why would we not require the same level of verification for something as consequential? Mr. President, later this year, American citizens across the country will exercise one of their most valuable and sacred rights, the right to vote. A right that has been hard-earned and fought for from the founding generation of our republic to today. And how was the right to self-government, the right to vote, secured? It was secured by American colonists who rejected the royal edict and hurled tea into Boston Harbor, declaring no taxation without representation. It was secured by ordinary men who seized their muskets and fired the shot heard round the world at Lexington and Concord. It was secured by Continental troops who marched to the fields of Saratoga and the coastline of Yorktown, repeating those immortal words of Patrick Henry, "Give me liberty or give me death." For nearly 250 years, Americans have cast their votes for leaders at every level, from local officials to state representatives to the President of the United States. Every member of this body is here today because we were elected fairly and honestly and given a mandate by our constituents to serve them here in Washington and to protect the liberties and freedoms our founders fought to preserve. The power of the ballot box determines the course of our nation, the history we are writing, and the freedoms that we continue to defend. And while no single ballot in isolation may seem decisive, together, the votes of the American people shape the course of our nation and the course of history. But it is worth remembering that our voting system did not begin as it exists today. When this nation was founded, the right to vote was limited, and over time, through debate, sacrifice, a bloody civil war, and constitutional amendment, the right to vote was quite properly expanded. The 15th Amendment prohibited denying the vote based on race. The 19th Amendment guaranteed women the right to vote. And the 26th Amendment lowered the voting age to 18. At every stage of our constitutional amendment process, the goal was the same: to ensure that the right to vote belonged to American citizens and that it was exercised with integrity. And while our system has evolved, one principle has remained constant. Elections reflect the will of the American people. For a right so sacred, for a privilege so hard fought, it is shocking, it is tragic, how neglected and vulnerable the protection of our elections has become. That is why I'm here today on this very floor, urging the members of this body to pass the Save America Act. It says that when you register to vote in a federal election, you must provide proof that you are a citizen of the United States, and you must provide photo ID to vote. In simple terms, that's it. This is not some radical, politicized, or weaponized piece of legislation designed to restrict Americans from voting. It is a common sense measure that protects the integrity of our elections by ensuring that American citizens and only American citizens are voting in them. Legitimacy in a democracy rests on two pillars. First, the mechanical integrity of the system to produce a valid result, and second, the public's confidence in that system. If either one fails, the system falters. If both fail, the system collapses. A system that cannot be trusted is a system that cannot govern. If you look around the world, between 2/3 and 3/4 of countries require some form of identification to vote. Why? Because it safeguards the integrity of their elections and reinforces public trust in their system. So it begs the question, why hasn't the United States fully embraced this standard? Well, for the last several months, we have heard claim after claim about how this legislation would somehow inhibit people from voting, that requiring identification is discriminatory, that the American people do not support voter ID. Mr. President, our Democrat colleagues are fond of bellowing into the TV cameras that photo ID to vote is Jim Crow. They tell us with mock earnestness. Now, I will admit, our Democrat colleagues should be experts in Jim Crow, because it was Democrat politicians who passed the Jim Crow laws. It was Democrat politicians who founded the Ku Klux Klan. It was Democrat politicians for decade after decade who enforced discrimination, separate but equal, poll taxes, and a host of other laws designed to prevent African Americans from voting. But do you know who has rejected their disingenuous claim that photo ID to vote is Jim Crow? The Supreme Court of the United States. Supreme Court of the United States, the state of Indiana, passed photo ID law requiring that you show a photo ID to vote. And a group of left-wing plaintiffs filed litigation challenging that. The case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. At the time, I was the Solicitor General of the state of Texas. I led a coalition of states before the Supreme Court defending photo ID to vote. And the left-wing plaintiffs made the same argument that our Democrat colleagues make today, that requiring photo ID to vote would somehow disenfranchise minorities. The Supreme Court, by a vote of 6-3, rejected their argument. The author of the majority opinion was John Paul Stevens. John Paul Stevens was one of the great liberals on the court. He was not a conservative. He was not on the right wing. He was the leading liberal for years on the U.S. Supreme Court. He rejected that claim, and he pointed out that when someone votes illegally, they are stealing the votes of legal voters.
I don't even know why we still own this. I don't even know, we know why the left goes against voter ID, right? Because when they let in millions of illegals, right? The point was to get them to vote and make it a landslide between Trump and Kamala. It backfired. It didn't work. So they're still trying to run with that same scheme now, to where anybody, whoever wants to vote. Do you know how stupid it is when you don't have a registration to vote? That means everybody that's illegal can go to so many multiple registration polls and booths and go vote. You can go to so many voting destinations and go vote, no matter how many times. The point, it would be great to know this one person voted one time. That way you can't fake it. That way you can't cheat. Why would you be against that? Once again, I don't know how you still call yourself a leftist, Democrat, liberal, whatever, when they clearly showed that they value illegals over you every time. They still do it. They constantly doing it. For anybody to say it disenfranchises a group of people, especially black people, to have to have a voter ID. I'm like, do you know how easy it is to get one? Like, stop with the cap. Stop the cap. You just want to go against it because who is being proposed by. Let's be honest. Let's be real about it. Let's keep it 1,000. It's not hard to get one. It's not hard to get one. Stop the BS. It's not going to disenfranchise anybody. It's not. Who is it going to disenfranchise? Specifically who? Because every black person I know and I associate with can go get a voter registration card if needed. And if it just goes to all you need is a valid ID, photo ID in America to vote. Then guess what? Everybody I know has a driver's license. Everybody. Every black person I know has a driver's license. I don't know what bums or what people who are up to nothing and all of that y'all hang with, but everybody black that I hang with has a driver's license. We have a photo ID. What sense does it make that you need an ID to drive? You need a license to drive, photo license to drive. You need an ID to buy alcohol. You need an ID to get in a club. ID to get in a bar. You need an ID for. So hold on. So it's okay for us to sit here and say and have the laws that you have to have an ID for all these privileges. But for something that's a right, there should be no laws or no IDs for it. Well, how stupid is that? Why is there ID for you okay with the IDs for privileges, but you're not okay with the IDs for what you consider to be rights? Even if it makes sense, why wouldn't you want that? You need an ID to buy alcohol, and that's not a right, that's a privilege. But you need an ID for it. You need a driver's license to drive, unless you're one of them stupid sovereign citizen dumbasses. I'm like, but you're still going to need one. I'm like, they don't never work, but whatever. I'm like, it makes no sense. It's if you want illegals to be able to vote, then say that. I mean, obviously we're going to disagree and we're not going to want it, but still say that. Don't come with this BS about how it's going to. I don't know why the left does that. The left can't just be real about stuff. The left has to make this BS argument that they really don't care about. Like when the left sits here and says, no, we're not going to vote for the SAVE Act. We don't want to disenfranchise any group of people in this country. No, why don't you just be real? The real is that you want illegals to be able to vote. Because you want them to vote for you. Because you know they're not going to vote for Trump. Or you know they're not going to vote Republican. You want them to vote for you. So why don't you just be real about that? That's the reason right there. You want illegals to be able to vote. Stop with the BS of you're not trying to disenfranchise Americans and black Americans at that. Why does the left always have to portray as if black people are stupid and less than? Why does the left always portrays the black culture and black people as if they're less than and stupid and can't comprehend and can't abide by certain guidelines? Like they're acting like if they implement the SAVE Act, that so many black people are so stupid that they will not be able to get a voter registration card, or they won't even be able to have a license or ID to be able to vote. Why does the left always try to portray the black people as stupid and less than and don't know enough? Here's another way. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, they always, on the left, always want to portray black people as if you're stupid. We know you're not good enough to know this or abide by this or go down this route. So we're essentially saying you're too stupid to do it, and we need to have pity on you, and we need to give you all the help. I don't know. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section, man. As always, like, subscribe, comment, share, hype me up, all that good stuff, man. If you like the video, comment. If you don't like the video, I don't care. You know what to do. You know what it is. Till next time, y'all, I'm out. I feel like I'm good on my own. Don't need nobody beside me.